It began, as many things do, with a bright idea. The early days of space travel were fraught with trouble. The prototype blink drive could jump a starship thousands of light years in an instant, or it could strand that same ship tens of light years away from its origin. Some ships disappeared only to reappear months or years later, the occupants having no idea of time's passing. This naturally caused some difficulty for the people who were supposed to track and account for the ships and their crews. How could they balance the books when ships could just disappear and reappear at will? Thus, the Seventh Fleet was formed, a kind of holding pen for ships that were unaccounted for. On paper, if a ship disappeared, it was transferred to the Seventh Fleet, and when it reappeared, it was transferred back. It was a great trick, one that allowed the paper pushers to balance their accounts, and one that began to spark dozens of legends and tales whispered in crew bunks by bored space hands. A man went Dutchman, and his body wasn't recovered. His transfer to the Seventh must have been approved. A man who opened the airlock without his suit. The Seventh always accepted volunteers. Strange sensor readings in the dead middle of the third watch. Just a passing member of the Seventh saying hello. It became tradition that every Christmas ships would transmit greeting and well wishes to the members of the Seventh Fleet, still on patrol into the vast blackness of space. But fleets need admirals, and in telling after telling, one named kept being added to the fleet roster. Admiral Hansen, the pioneer of the blink drive, and its first victim was in charge. But now is no time for these old stories. Not now, with the magnificent domed cities of Mars burning in the thin atmosphere of the red planet. Not now that the unrelenting armada of the Crozal advanced on Earth in the tiny ragtag fleet that stood to defend it. Ships still leaking atmosphere from hasty repairs. Ships missing large portions of their superstructure as the yards rushed them into the battle line. Some were only half built, some barely begun. Only enough metal to brace the missiles and coil guns. Nervous cadets, plucked from their final year at the academy, stood watch, waiting. Humanity was going to die this day, but by God they were going to make the Crozal fight for it. As the Crozal advanced dozens, then hundreds of faint contacts began to appear on the sensors of the human ships. At first they were dismissed. Then some began to wonder what new reinforcements the Crozals had called. It was only when the Crozal fleet turned towards these newcomers that sailors began to feel the faint stirrings of hope. Then, across every channel, and from every receiver came a voice, faint as if speaking from a great distance. "This is the Seventh Fleet, Admiral Hansen commanding. Sorry we are late.